Good morning. I have to share thoughts when I'm on my walk because they're the most pure, I think. But what I'm thinking as a concept I'd like to bring up to folks is that we kind of live in a different world post-pandemic. And that is a part of the honesty and the integrity that I'd like to discuss. And how do we correlate all of our charts and graphs and even like supply chain needs and those kind of things and plan based off of information prior to the pandemic. And I honestly believe we're in a new world, right? People don't want to go back to the office is what I'm seeing in real estate. So I'm going to stick to real estate for this one. And I was also a raft guide. So maybe this will make sense to you guys if I make it clear in that way. But when I shifted from river to river, we always had the measurable of CFS, cubic feet per second. And that is a pretty good number to use in almost everywhere. But when I shifted to the Poudre River, CFS wasn't a number or literally the gauge that you wanted to use in order to run the rapids as a rafter, okay, or a kayaker. And so what we have here is we actually have a rock. And so there's a rock that is marked in a key area of the river. It's actually right above the best rapid, I believe. But we call it feet. And I've never been out there to measure it, but I don't think it's feet, I think it could be 6 inches, but we call it feet. And so all of us know the difference between 4 feet on the rock and 2.5 on the rock. And that gauge going up, or that information tells us the community like what it's going to be like, okay? But that doesn't tell you as an actual guide or a kayaker on the river the difference between 4 feet and 2.5. That you have to learn, okay? That you have to learn by doing and flipping your boat on flip rock with rookies, and those kind of things, right? And what we had there was also an event where the river came in and flooded, and one of the rapids was different, okay? So we knew how to run all the rapids after over time, and you get pretty cocky and solid in the metrics and how you're doing things, right? And what happened is something literally came in from the side, a mudslide, and made the rapid run differently. Now, Harlie's not a raft guide at this point daily, and tied in to the community. And I go out there with some friends of mine, and it gets big, and I'm like, well, I know the rapid. These people look like they're good paddlers because their gear was all, faded, and that would be a sign to me that they've done it before, and that was bad data. And so we go into the first rapid. It was running way differently. I made the mistake and put my boat in a terrible situation, and we had also had some other variables that I didn't read along the way. Some people got out of the boat to do an easier section, so my boat was lighter. I had less paddlers, and I thought my paddlers, I was making assumptions. So I'm the lead guy, and I put them in a situation that scared the daylights out of all of us. Knowing, almost too much, right? Because I didn't have the new data. I wasn't a raft guide boots on the ground, and I think I wasn't listening to the people that I knew were raft guide boots on the ground. It would be a good example. So where is this all tying into now? Well, we've obviously had a change. So what's your new metric of what you see now in the new world? So what my metric is in real estate is Canada. And what they did in Canada is they stopped the ability for you to buy real estate in Canada unless you're Canadian. Okay, for 2 years, right? And it's really funny that this happened because I was down in Tucson in February scouting my VRBO, and guess what? I was in a VRBO with Canadians, and they're telling me how bad it is, and they really truly fear that their kids who are 30 won't ever be able to buy, and they don't want them living with them, you know. So about 2 months after this, that they made this change in Canada where they didn't want people from out of the country to buy up all the land in the big cities or the infrastructure, right? So what does that mean? Now, after they've had that, values have only gone down 10%. And the narrative on that, I heard it like this: they're plummeting. They're going down 10%. And I don't see that as plummeting, folks. When you literally cut off all, like a huge part of who's gonna buy, and it only goes down 10%. So let's look at some more metrics. Canada has about the same population as Texas. So can you imagine if we said you can only buy real estate in Texas if you're a Texan? How bad would the real estate go down in your opinion? I don't know the answer to that, but that's the question, and that's the metric that I think nobody's talking about, is how strong the actual housing market is. So this one's getting long, but tell me your thoughts, and have a great day.